Married men of Reddit, what was that dumb thing you did during your dating phase that you can't believe your wife ended up overlooking? I get very nervous around women that are into me, and especially when I know she's watching me do something. Even something trivial. On an early date, we went to the local shop to pick up some things for a picnic, including some gum. I was thinking really hard and aware that I was being watched. I had this. Money on the counter, gum in your mouth. Money on the counter, gum in your mouth. Easy. Suffice to say, when I put the gum on the counter and the €2 coin in my mouth, the cashier was baffled, and my girlfriend, now wife, was crying with laughter. Turned her down when she suggested we go on a date. Read as, I'm super awkward. I was working for Starbucks, she was a regular customer. I was new in town and noticed her a couple times. She was a regular customer and we got to some small talk, chatting about places to eat. She said there's an amazing taco place down the road, we should go sometime. I misheard her, thinking she said you should go sometime. I replied with I'll definitely check it out. I handed her a drink and she left very awkwardly. She was back in the next day and, against all odds, I was able to clear up the misunderstanding and I wrote my number on her Starbucks cup. We went to that taco place for our first date and she was right, it was amazing. 3 years married and 2 kids later. Really glad she saw through my awkwardness. I made myself a burger for dinner before heading over to her place to hang out. Unfortunately, I'm not the best cook and left a little too much pink in that burger. While we were at her house, I bet her I could fit through the doggy door and crawled right through. Then she immediately closed it behind me and we raced to the front door. She won and she locked it. Now at this exact moment my bowels decided they had enough of that burger from earlier and I felt my stomach cramp. Luckily I held it all in and ran back to the back door with my cheeks clenched and starting knocking desperately in the door. She was laughing at first, but when she saw my face go suddenly serious and I said very calmly, I need you to open the door. Now please. She unlocked the door and asked if I was okay. I told her to stay downstairs and turn the TV up loud. She agreed but was very confused. So I ran upstairs and then had one of the most violent shits of my whole life. I thought the worst was behind me until I went to wipe. And of course no TP. So she took my instructions really well, and when I yelled to her, texted her, and called her, I got no answer. After probably like 10 missed calls she finally answered and I asked her to bring me some TP and leave outside the door and try not to breathe on the way upstairs. She was great about it and immediately started making fun of me when I came back downstairs. Now quite a few years later, a couple kids and cat, she's still making fun of me. My dad stalked my mom. They worked at a business together and he had a huge crush on her. He would sniff her coat when no one was looking, overhear conversations to learn what she liked and stare at her constantly while she worked at her desk. It worked out, of course, because plot twist, my mom stalked him right back, having on separate occasions followed him home and tried to find out places he liked to hang out. They have been married for almost 35 years and they are the happiest couple I know. Wow, this blew up more than I thought it would. I guess that whole yandere thing makes people love drama like this. To answer some popular questions, no, it's not like a weird anime. Maybe. With some details I left out, I guess I made it sound that way, but they are very much in love and happy. Do I find it creepy? Yes, but I was the outcome, so I think it turned out great. And am I stalker myself? I will admit, yes, during my high shook years I did, in less odd ways, stalk about 2 crushes and no, they did not like me back. For our second date I had invited her out with myself and some friends to celebrate a friend getting a job. I drank heavily. She was my DD. She drove me home and as she pulled up to the curb I threw open the door, rolled out of the car, and vomited into the gutter. She then offered to help me cross the street, to which I responded by yelling I'm disgusting and sprinting across the street. Once inside, I brushed my teeth aggressively. She asked what I was doing and I told her I needed to clean my mouth so I could kiss her. After I was done, I walked to my room, laid down, and immediately fell asleep. She spent the night to make sure I was okay. I'm now holding our baby girl who was born just last week. I asked her at one point why she stayed with me through that and she said it was because even though I was pissed drunk, the whole time I was still gentle and kind, asked her if she was having fun, and introduced her to everyone I knew. I'm a lucky guy. Not me, but there's a famous story in my family about my granddad. He was in the RAF at the time, 1950s, and at the time boys on the base would go to local dances and stuff to, well, find women. He danced with my grandma and got her address afterwards, and they agreed to meet the next day, but in his slightly drunken wisdom, he wrote the address on his MG windscreen. Obviously, the next day it was gone, and he spent hours driving around Grimsby trying to find the address and asked the guy in a house if there was a woman named living there. He said yes, so my granddad said he was taking her out on a date, but it turns out he got the wrong house and she was this guy's wife, and this guy wasn't happy until my granddad explained he's got the wrong house, hopefully. After a while, my great-granddad spotted a young man in a MG looking flustered driving up and down the street and figured what was going on. They've been married for about 60 years until my grandmother passed away recently.